everyone. Welcome to Meetup Live today, the CEO update with 20 years of Meetup. So excited to be here. I'm Jean Miaton, the Events Programming Manager at Meetup, in case you didn't know that, although I'm sure most of you know. Welcome to Meetup Live. Today we are joined by our CEO, David Siegel. And he's going to give the lowdown on what's on the roadmap for 2020. We are celebrating 20 years of Meetup. So exciting. He's going to share the wins of 2021 and what's coming in 2022. Before we get started, though, I'm going to go over the event guidelines and the agenda. So this event is being recorded, but you are not going to appear in the video, so don't worry. If you have to leave early, we've got you covered. You can find a recording and a recap of this event in our blog, Community Matters at meetup.com/blog. Everyone is muted with the exception of myself and David. We hope that you ask questions and encourage you to. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. We will be disabling the chat shortly. And thanks to Zoom, closed captioning is also available. You can simply turn it on by clicking on the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. Really quickly, the agenda. So I just went over the opening remarks. David is going to do a brief introduction of himself, and then he's going to talk for about 25 minutes or so, maybe a little longer. And then we are going to take your questions for David. So I am done. David, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Janine. First of all, I just want to say to the hundreds of people here and the other people who weren't able to be here but will get the recording, like the two most important words in the English language, thank you. Each of you is here because you're interested in Meetup, you're interested in the impact that we have in the world, you're interested in us as a product, us as a service, etc. And I'm here to say something to start, which is Meetup isn't a product, Meetup isn't a service, Meetup isn't a network, Meetup is a movement or has always been a movement, and Meetup is a community. First and foremost, we are a community. And each of you just showing up here speaks to the community that we're in. And oh, by the way, when you're in a community, sometimes there are challenges in that community. Sometimes there are people that you work really well with, and some people you love, and sometimes it's a challenge. And at times, I think as Meetup and as the CEO, we have disappointed people in our community. And at times we've made things amazing for people in the community. And our goal is to build amazing experiences, but to understand that as a community, it's an imperfect community. And the goal is to make it better and better sequentially. So here we go. For those of you who don't know, the story of Meetup's founding happened 20 years ago on the ashes of 9/11. Our amazing founder, Scott Heiferman, had seen the toll that 9/11 and the towers falling had on people, and everyone was in disbelief. He went down to his lobby, he hung out around, and he saw all these people kind of wandering around. No one wanted to be by themselves. People needed to be around other people, and he saw people that lived on his floor that he hadn't even known before, even though they lived on his floor for sometimes many years. And what he said to himself and he said to others, he said, it shouldn't take a tragedy to have people build community. And he went back, and this is actually the whiteboard, a picture of the whiteboard that he and a couple of other founders built, where there's going to be home, and you could look by topic, you look by event, you could create topic. This is the actual picture of the whiteboard that arose after 9/11. And the reason for our 20th anniversary being in June is that the website for Meetup, which was the first website, which I'm going to show you right here, went live in June of 2002, actually the week of Scott's 30th birthday. So hopefully when Scott comes and he speaks at a hopefully a big party that ideally we're going to be able to have somehow in person, we will see what the situation is come June, It'll be around his 50th birthday party and the 20th anniversary of Meetup as a company. And this was kind of what Meetup looked like when it first started. Of course, everyone remembers the red and white Meetup badge that was so synonymous with Meetup for a very long period of time. And just to show something funny about back in those days, the number one group with the group with the most total groups was none other than witches. So it was a very, and you might remember Slashdot or Bloggers or Fark, all these like, sites that no one's ever thought about or heard about anymore. Xena, Tori Amos, today how far back that goes. But witches was number one back in the day. And of course, Barack Obama was one of the people who really put Meetup on the map when he said that any group that has 1,000 people or more, he will show up to. And that was, and as the Howard Dean helped to grow the company. So why does Meetup matter? Why do we, just to remind everyone, our goal is to be the cure for the loneliness epidemic. 46% of people regularly feel lonely. And that's just a terrifying stat. And that, by the way, is before the pandemic. In fact, that number is up to 62% of people who regularly feel lonely, who are in the Gen Z era, which I also happen to teach at a college, and just seeing the challenge that pandemic toll has had on people is just so terrifying. This is again before the pandemic, people's feelings of loneliness, and Meetup is the antidote for that loneliness. 25% of people don't have not one trusted confidant that they could go to in a time of need. And 89% of people had said that their last social interaction was some form or other interrupted by technology. And oh, by the way, for most people, it's like 100% because we're using technology all the time. We had always said at Meetup that we use technology to get people off of technology. And then the pandemic hit. And then we had to figure out what to do. Before that, I'll just share, we have 57 million members worldwide in 190 countries, in 10,000 cities across the world with 330,000 groups. We're amazingly evenly split between male and female, which is a wonderful thing. If you look at our largest age group, it's the 25 to 34 time period when for so many people, they're figuring out their lives and figuring out their next steps and moving to new cities and finding their community. And that's where we tend to excel. And we excel in that because of you organizers. A lot of people haven't seen this chart, so I just wanted to share it because people know about their groups. They have a cooking group or they have a support group, but over 30% is actually the largest group of social hobbies and singles happens to be the largest cohort of Meetup groups, followed by fitness, sports, and outdoors, which is increasing quite a bit because of the pandemic, and outdoor hiking events and outdoor other events have done very, very well, followed by tech, which is the third largest in terms of our Meetup members. We have language groups, career and business group, networking groups, support groups, belief groups, etc. The number one KPI that we focus on at Meetup, and I'm going to get into our talk even more detail, is 30 million. And the reason why that's up here is because it's not about revenue, not about profit, it's about human connections. Every year, we drive 30 million human connections. It used to be all in person, now it's more in person and many online, and it's about driving human connections between people because magic happens and amazing things happen when you have human connections. And I'll just tell you, as a Meetup organizer myself, and I have an event coming up in a couple of weeks called 10 Actions for Making Smarter Business and Life Decisions that I'm going to be talking about. I have 144 members in my group, and the name of my group actually is for alumni. It's an alumni group for anyone who's taken my course. It's a way for me to stay in touch with people who have taken my course at Columbia or taken my course when I used to teach at Pace, and it allows us to have this community of people that span 6, 7 different years of teaching, and then to build relationships with each other. And as a Meetup organizer, it is just hard. It's hard work. And I send out reminders to people, and I feel like people don't necessarily get them sometimes, even though I know it gets sent, they still don't get them for whatever reason. And I host an event, and I have to remind people to come to the event. But at the end of the day, after that event, no matter whether 4 people show up or 40 people show up, it's so meaningful. And even though there's a lot of work, it's a great joy for me being a Meetup organizer. Okay, so many of you know who this person is, though he has a longer beard. It's David Letterman from back in the day. And David Letterman was famous for his top 10 lists. So we are going to do, so I'm David Siegel, we're going to do a David Letterman, David Siegel, whatever, top 10 list of Meetup 2022. We're going to focus on things we've done and things that we're going to be doing. The first part of this is many of the things that we have done and that we're going to be focusing on more. And then the second part of this is many things that we're going to be doing in 2022 as well. So it's going to be dual parts, and feel free while I'm talking, not just at the end, to put any and all questions in. I look forward to answering those questions, and we'll have time for it, certainly without a doubt. So here we go. Everything starts with our mission. It starts with our mission. Our mission is forever. We may have needed to pivot our business, but the thing about a pivot is that the heel of your foot is implanted and doesn't change. And that heel for us is our company mission. Our mission to empower personal growth through real human connections, and our vision, our product vision about helping people create communities that gather around interests and identities. That is our mission, and it will never change. And the reason why it won't change is because Meetup makes life better. There's a third-party study that was done about Meetup making life better versus Facebook not necessarily doing that. The more Meetup events you go to, actually the happier you are. New York Times also did a study where they found women live longer and happier lives when they go to Meetup events. I mean, again, this is what you're all doing. This is what you are contributing towards and making happen. And of course, as organizers, many of you, 89% reported a feeling that you're impacting people's lives. And Meetup members, 90% feel they're increasing their knowledge and skills. It's a good. And that's why we're as involved as we are in what we do to create more and more good, in this world. At least I know for myself, that's why I feel so deeply passionate about Meetup, and I want our company to provide as good and better resources to help each of our organizers. We used to be owned by WeWork. As many of you know, that was a very challenging time period, shall we say. We are now owned by a couple of investors, but the majority investor is someone named Kevin Ryan, who's the founder of incredible companies, Business Insider, MongoDB, for tech people will definitely know MongoDB, the Gilt Group, Zola, and about 20 other companies. It's not about growth for growth's sake. It's about customer being the priority. And that's how our culture has changed. These are some of our values that we embed for all of our employees and how we try to do business. I'm obviously not going to read these to you, but it gives you a little bit of an idea of what it's like to work for Meetup and the culture of Meetup in terms of transparency, elevating people, leading with integrity, etc. Going to now number 9 on the list. So we're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 9, the pandemic. It was scary. It was really scary. It was very, very scary as a CEO of a company in February of 2020, when we started to see 95% of Meetup events and Meetup groups just get canceled in China. And then it moved to Italy, and suddenly 95% got canceled. And then came to the US, and we said, no, it's not going to last for long. I'm not going to come here, not going to last. And it's just a nosedive. Events went way down in a very short period of time. This is 2020. You could see the cliff kind of going down 2020. And the RSVP is going way down in 2020. It was a very scary time. We legitimately thought, is this the end of this amazing, at the time, 18-year company? But we held everyone together. We said, we cannot let this be the end. And we said, we need to find a path to grow. And now we're growing again. So our apps, year over year, are up 66% year over year at an all-time high in terms of the number of people downloading our apps. There's a little blip there. We're going to talk about Starbucks. Starbucks has been a great partner, an incredible culture. They deeply believe in helping to build community, and we've had a wonderful partnership in helping them to drive, as you could see, app downloads. This is 10,000 downloads, app downloads in a day. That's pretty good. And then our ratings for our app. So average star rating is in red. You can see also going up a lot as our app has continued to improve. Right now, I would say that our app experience has improved quite a bit more than our web experience. And if you have not downloaded our app, then as an organizer, wait, because you're going to hear about our organizer app beta, which just officially opened up and launched 2 days ago. And you're going to hear more about that soon. Anyway, app downloads way up. Registrations up 16% year over year. Good, not, and you can see the big jump from December to January because New Year's resolutions, of course. So registrations are up 16%. People RSVPing to events is also up 22% year over year, both in the US, which is the blue, and also outside of the US, which is in yellow. And then events, people scheduling events is also up 16% and almost as high as how things were pre-pandemic. So we're not there yet, but we're continuing to see improvements every single month that passes and getting back to it. So it's not a V, it's not even a U, but it's a nice slow and steady kind of, I don't know, weird shaped L in terms of the progress. In 2021, the #1 most searched term on Meetup was finding friends, finding adult friends, building friendships. So hard during the pandemic. It's actually #2 now. Interestingly, hiking is #1 and it's #2 in 2022 so far, but it was #1 in 2021. So we are going from our advertising perspective all in on the focus around friendships that last, sharing your passions, meeting new friends, finding new friends, making 2022 the year of friendship, as you can see in the top right corner as well. That's what people need. That's what people want and they're yearning for, and that's what you help to deliver. So #8 is our marketing message I wanted to share with you around friendship. And specifically, I want to share with you our New Year's campaign so you can get an idea of how Meetup is reaching out to the larger world and how we're kind of uplifting our brand. And if it's the video is a little bit shaky, it's because I'm in my house right now. Bandwidth isn't great, so I apologize in advance. Here we go.
It builds a community because we all have a place that we can go to. I see Meetup really as a facilitator. What you put in, I think, on Meetup is what you get out of it.
You really had this merging of all of this energy and cultures and passion coming together. That couldn't have been done other than through Meetup.
It allows people to first discover us, quickly and easily understand how to join us and participate.
So these are all actual Meetup events that you're seeing in front of you, and not stock photography kind of stuff, but how we're going to market. The other thing that we're doing that we haven't done much of in a long time, and that if you're in the cities that we're testing it, you'll hopefully have already seen, or you'll be seeing a lot more, is we're doing a big brand campaign. And the reason for that is because we want to drive even more brand awareness for Meetup. Some people know about us, and a lot of people don't, but they should. You know, 5 billion people could be using Meetup, and we want them coming to all your events. We want them coming to your groups and joining your groups. So we are on all these platforms: iHeartRadio, Podcast One, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Roku. We're on a lot of different platforms. We had a campaign that ran this past year for 2 months, in the months of July and August. And we now actually have a campaign going on right now, January, February, March. The results of our campaign were amazing. In the top 15 markets where we ran a campaign, we saw a 6% increase in users, 7% increase in new users. You can see the numbers here. And for the locations where we did not run the campaign, because you always have to do a comparison, there was a marked difference in the two. So it tells you brand marketing works for us, and we need to get our name and our brand out more so that people can join your groups and become and join your events even more aggressively. That's our goal. We need to get more people to come to your groups and events. Super important. And then as a result of our campaign, in the locations where we actually had people typing in Meetup or Meetups near me or Meetup Seattle, Meetup San Diego, Meetup Los Angeles, we're all up significantly, which is again the kind of thing that you look for in terms of a campaign. And then in certain cities, we really grew a lot: Austin, Los Angeles, and Dallas in particular, from the last campaign that we did. Number 7, in terms of like the list of top 10 Meetup now and the future is we are spending a lot of time in building big partnerships that can help to drive more members, more brand exposures to your groups again. So for example, Starbucks, which I mentioned earlier, sent out a communication around Thanksgiving, another one around Christmas, and another one around Martin Luther King Volunteering Day to encourage people to grow their community and go to Meetup. And that's the kind of thing we're not even paying Starbucks for it. Honestly, we're doing other things to help Starbucks on the side as well. But it's a brand like that. And another brand is Match, you know, the dating site. We're not about dating. We're not anti-dating in any way at all. But Match is a great potential example where what Match did, specifically Meetup, which is a brand underneath Match, in Europe, they said, we're going to put Meetup events on our platform to get more people to come to free boot camp and yoga, to come to winter in the Thames Walk, our history hike. And all those types of things that we're doing just drive more people ideally to come to become members of Meetup. And then ideally, they go to your groups and events. So number 6 now on the list of top 10 is content. So we really know that it takes a lot of experience to become an effective Meetup organizer. And we have a lot of people who have a lot of experience. That's why we've been doing these Meetup Lives for now over a year. We've had hundreds of thousands of people coming to these Meetup Live events, and I'm honored to be able to be part of it today. We also have a blog post called Community Matters with over 1.5 million people who are on the blog. The amazing Mary Garcia, who kind of head of content, you know, at Meetup, has led this blog. And if you open your phone up now and you go to your camera, I'm talking about an iOS right now, so Android I can't help you with, and you just scan the QR code in front of you, you will see that, and you can click on something, and there's going to be a number of different QR codes here, so that makes it very easy for you if you're interested in doing something, then you could take immediate action in doing so. So if you want to join the blog, then you could scan the QR code, which is right there, and just put in your camera image over it, and you go to the link. We also have our Keep Connected podcast. If you haven't ever listened to an episode, they're great for organizers. They're great for motivation. They're great for education. If you want to listen to a podcast, that's on the left-hand side. And actually, I have a book that's coming out in 4 weeks, which is an experience called Decide and Conquer, and it's all about the Meetup story. It's about the Meetup story of being part of WeWork, of divesting from WeWork, and endeavors to help people to make smarter decisions and help people, the reader, also to learn about kind of the impact of Meetup on the world. And that's on the right-hand side, the QR code over there, if that's of interest. Now and that's all our content. Number 5, this is really important. For the many organizers that are here, we officially opened up our organizer app for anyone. And the reason for that is because we spent a good 1.5 to 2 months in a beta, and we're still in a beta, by the way, but in a more limited beta, where we had bugs, and we wanted to address those bugs, and we wanted to get organizer feedback, and we've gotten feedback from hundreds of organizers, and we're now at the point, because the product is strong enough, that we're opening up to anyone who would like to put the power of kind of a much better and a focused organizer experience in your app. Uber has a separate app for drivers than they do for passengers. Airbnb has a separate app for hosts. We want a separate app so that's solely dedicated to the needs of organizers, and it is perfectly full functionality, or as much functionality, or close to as much functionality, I should say, as you're able to get on the web, and in certain aspects, actually more functionality than one could potentially get on the web as we go over time. Does that have that today? No. Will it have that in the future? Yes. If you go to the iOS and you want to be part of our organizer beta and get access to this new app, then click on the right one. And if you want to go to Android, then go to the bottom right one. If anyone is here, I can't do it myself because I'm talking. As I'm doing these, I realize if you're able to put the links into chat, of each of these different QR codes. That's also helpful in case I go through these slides too quickly for people to take an action. I want to be sensitive to that as well. Okay, number 4 in terms of Meetup's focus for 2022 is on service, safety, and security. We have a very special trust and safety group that protects our members and our communities, and we take that incredibly seriously. There are bad actors out there. There are bad people out there, sadly, and when you're doing something online or in person, people can take advantage and act inappropriately, and we have to eliminate as much of that possible from our platform. We have experts in-house. We have a technology that we use that's best in class in the industry. And this year, we're planning on significantly investing even more into security and protecting us from fraud, from abuse. We need a balance, and it's always a question in terms of policy, freedom of expression on the one hand, which is so important, and at the same time preventing spam, hate, and misinformation on the other side. Striking that balance is complicated and also somewhat subjective, and it's something that we're constantly looking to improve. In 2022, there's a lot of work that we're going to be doing there. From a support standpoint, and if you look at the left on the side here, our goal is to listen to feedback, ideas in terms of feature requests that you may have. And this is going to come up twice. From a support standpoint, we have an organizer-first mentality. If a call comes in, email comes in from an organizer, it gets prioritized over something coming in from a member. 24/7 by 365 is kind of when we're available. We have a robust help center and addressing bugs. If you have a bug that you've seen, and I know that our platform is not perfect by any means, then please, we always encourage people to tell us about the bug, scan on the QR code on the right-hand side to help support know more about and report a bug out there. And on the left-hand side, if you have suggestions for product features, again, feel free to scan over there. And this is going to be repeated coming up shortly in another few slides. We've invested a lot in improving the page speed. No one wants a slow site. No one wants a slow experience. And Meetup's experience used to be a lot slower. This is an example of an event page where it's basically done by 6.5 on the right-hand side and fully done at 9. And on the left-hand side, you can see it's still going. It's still going. This is the left is what it used to be, and the right is what it kind of is today. Improving page speed is really important and top priority for us. And we've done it, and we're going to be doing it even more in 2022, another high priority for us in 2022. And that means like having our APIs faster, and you can see normally when charts going up and to the right, you want this one going down, because it means that the speed in which we're able to roll cache and build more positive product experiences for everyone is actually faster. Okay, there's 3, 2, and 1, and these 3 are the most important parts, and there's a lot of talk about what we're doing in 2022 from these last 3. So here we go. It is likely that the pandemic is going to be endemic. It's going to be around forever, which means that Meetup has to, and has already, put in a number of different things that you may or may not be aware of, and I want to make sure you're aware of them. Number 1 is that when scheduling an event, there's a whole host of different options. You could choose whether a mask is required, whether a vaccination is required, whether an event is going to be indoors or outdoors. We actually see that more people will show up to events when that COVID-19 safety features are shared. And then after the event, after that's set up, that those details are in the event home page. And then when a member of your group get RSVPs, they get a reminder telling them about make sure you wear a mask, vaccination required, whatever the rules happen to be. We put the decisions in your hands. We're not going to make those decisions ourselves. It's too complex and personal an issue. But we're going to put the decision making in your hands. What we're going to be rolling out shortly, actually, in the next couple of months, is the ability for members to be able to filter about whether or not they're interested in indoor events or outdoor events. Over 50% of indoor events, of in-person events, are using this feature right now, and we're going to but we don't let our members, let people who attend your events filter for that. So we're going to adding filtering. The other things that we're looking at for 2022 are the following three. Number one, on the left-hand side, is if a member chooses to, again, this is not going to be forced, to display their vaccination status, then they will have the opportunity to be able to do that. Again, opt-in only. It's not going to be mandatory by any means from a privacy standpoint. That's very important. Number two, there is also some interesting third parties out there that verify vaccinations and would make it easier for organizers to potentially know information about people, again, if they're opted into it. And then looking at how do we build a directory, potentially of venues to make things easier as well for people. So we need to prepare for the endemic pandemic. And there's a number of things that were done, a number of things in progress, and other things that are planned for 2022. The last two that I want to focus on for 2022 is enabling new organizers to be successful. If I was in person, I would probably say, raise your hand if you've become an organizer in the last 3 months, but I can't really do that right now. But instead what I'll say is, we want to make sure that new organizers are far more successful in the beginning by creating a guided experience that really helps them out with videos and tutorials to how to get the most out of the Meetup platform. There's a lot of nuances to the Meetup platform, as you know. There's a lot of interesting ways that people have been using us because we've been around for 20 years. But making things easier on search, event announcements, event reminders is a big part of what we did. We recently launched an Organizer Onboarding 101. And if you haven't seen it, it's available. You can go onto Meetup Live, or you could go onto Community Matters and you'll find it. But we've had 3,000 organizers watching our Onboarding 101 tutorial. And every month we do a new tutorial for new organizers specifically. How to engage your community more on Meetup is the one that's upcoming in March. In April, we're gonna have one about using the new organizer app features as well. It's extremely important to help to make our organizers successful. And the last part of new organizers is we've also created a email series to enable new organizers to learn all the ins and outs of becoming a new organizer. So after you become an organizer, it walks you through the path of all the things you need to do and tips and tricks and advice about how to make your group as successful as possible so you have as many different people joining that group as you can. And it was amazing, when we sent out that series and we did a A/B test to new organizers, half got it, half didn't get it. The group that ended up getting that series, it led to 25% more RSVPs than the group that didn't get the series. It's pretty powerful. So we want to do that more and more in 2022, more alerts, more welcoming of new members, more advice to make things easier and better for people. Now is the most important one, number one, which is for all organizers, regardless of whether you're new or you've been here for 10 plus years, it's driving your success. So on the left-hand side, success starts with listening. It starts with feedback. We've had over 400 submissions into, and you're going to see a slide coming up, our product feedback form, 400 submissions. 88% are organizers, are on leadership teams of organizers, and that's so helpful to us because that's the result of that is we end up prioritizing projects that people are asking for. So we get submissions, then we meet in the middle row with our product and engineering leaders to prioritize fast fixes as soon as we can. And then the right-hand side, we implement stuff, whether it's a little thing like which is not very little work for us and impactful for others. That's a huge win. But increasing event descriptions from to an increased character limit of 5,000, and then going into others, and which I'm going to get to shortly before we go into 2022. But before I do, this is a complicated slide, so let me just explain it to you. As a reminder again, because we so want to listen and get your feedback in a helpful and constructive and organized way, because if we get it from the form, it goes into our system. If we get it ad hoc through emails or through social, it's really much harder for us to manage and therefore take action on it. So this is the best way to take action. Product feature request form, meaning if you have a product feature that you would like to be implemented, that's the top left one over here, product feature request form. The bottom left is if you want to get updates on our products and product releases and to learn more about each time we're releasing products, we're getting a lot more transparent because it's one of our cultures, our cultural values around product updates. That's in the bottom left. If you need help and you want to go to our help center, That's the top right over here, where it says Help Center. And in the bottom right over here, if there's a bug and you want to submit something directly to tell us about the bug, this is the best way to be able to do so. So I'm just going to pause for a second for anyone that wants to take advantage and follow with any of these 4 things before I go to the next slide. Okay, a second. Some of the things that were requested that we took advantage, that we did. Rich text, bolding, underlining, italicizing, etc. was the #1 most requested feature. We finished it on groups and we're releasing it in apps and on events this month. It will be released on apps and events this month. Video, embedding video, so important. It was released on the web. We've already over 1,000 groups are embedding videos in their groups, which is really helpful in terms of getting members to be more interested. And it's releasing on apps to embed video on apps. It's the #2 most requested feature. That's also being released this month as well. It's going to be a busy month in February. We have unlimited video conferencing options. You could use Zoom, you could use something else. That also was a change that we recently made. And this month also, we are integrating with Zoom, so that's just with one click. You don't have to like copy, paste, putting the link. It's a whole process. Just one click, you're immediately integrated with Zoom. We're actually just we finished all the tech work. We finished everything. We're just getting the final Zoom approval. It can happen in 3 days. It can happen in 3 weeks. We don't know when Zoom is going to officially approve it, but it'll happen at some point in the near future. We're just waiting for Zoom approval on the experience to roll that out to everyone, a one-click Zoom integration. Now 2022 plan, and there's 3 things I want to highlight. We're doing a lot more than this, but there's 3 main things that I want to highlight for 2022 from a product standpoint. The first is a much more robust attendance tracker. The reason why that attendance tracker is so important is because it used to be that things were in person, now things are online and in person, and we need to know not just who RSVP'd, because that's one thing, but who actually showed up. And we need to have much better tools around attendance taking and attendance tracking for in-person and for online. Because if we do that, then we drive more connections for people. So you're going to see a much more robust attendance tracking experience coming up for in-person and online over 2022. And that's what's planned right now. The next thing that's planned, and this is pretty darn cool, and we have never announced this at Meetup before, so this is the first time we're announcing it, which is we are going to let your members, if they want to, pitch in and help you financially. Members can either donate to you as an organizer, or if you want them to, they could donate to a special cause that you might find to be really important. Remember, I went to a soccer meetup group and I asked them, and the people had to pay, I think, $1 every time they played soccer, and which meant that they made $20, each week that they played soccer. If you do that for 30 weeks, that's $6,000 actually, $600. $600. That's a decent amount of money. And they gave that money to children and a group, an organization that focuses on helping underprivileged youth to play soccer as well. So we're going to be launching this again, and it won't just be that they could donate to an outside 501c3, but they also can donate and help you to pay for your Meetup subscription. So a lot more to come on this. This isn't like something that's going to happen in 6 months or 9 months. This is something we hope and expect to happen in the next few months. And if you're interested in getting product updates, it's something we're really excited about. And it's optional. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. No problem. But it's something that we're excited to be able to roll out to everyone. Last and not least, probably the most important, which is communications. This has been a pain point for us for years. Like I said, as a community, we're imperfect, as people we're imperfect. And this has been probably one of the greatest sources of imperfection and a pain point for years. We need to make sure our emails are reliable, and we need to make sure we have the right and the best communication tools out there. And we do not. We've challenged it, and we're going all in on making this better. So for example, if you think about the Airbnb type experience, if anyone's used Airbnb, which some of you of course have, and just chat so easily back and forth with the host, we're going to be implementing chat. We've already moved our emails to a new platform, great, but we're implementing chat to decrease the need for people to have their meetup group and Slack, their meetup group and Facebook, their meetup group and WhatsApp? How can we take those features that are in Slack, WhatsApp, Facebook, and make it a much better communication vehicle within Meetup? This is the top 2022 focus. Our ambition is for Meetup to fulfill all of your core communication needs. There's going to be edge cases where we are not the full and right solution, and we can't have everything as robust as all of them, but we have to be a lot better than where we are today. So as I said, top 10, David Letterman, David Siegel, mission is forever. Growth after the pandemic. We're focusing on friendships in our marketing and brand, building these partnerships, helping with better content, focusing on an organizer app, which is now anyone could join who's an organizer, service, trust, and safety, understanding that pandemic is now endemic and we need to help each of our organizers around that, particularly helping new organizers to learn all the features, everything else, and then finally driving success for every one of our organizers. And you saw stuff that we've done, and the three things that we're super prioritizing right now, aside from everything else, around attendance taking, pitching in, and helping to donate to your cause or to you directly, and of course communication tools, notifications, and chat. My email is david@meetup.com. Feel free to email me. Find me on LinkedIn. It's not that hard to find. Just type in David Siegel Meetup on LinkedIn and you will find me. And I would love, and I always love connecting with our members. So feel free to link in with me as well. Feel free to check out our podcast like we mentioned earlier. So I'm now going to open it up to any and all questions that are there. Maxwell asked the following question: will Pledge allow recurring donations? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. That it's not just like every single time you need to do it one, but there's the ability for it to be kind of recurring over a period of time. So we're excited about that. So thank you, Maxwell, for asking about this. I'm glad there's a lot of interest in it. I'm really excited about it because if there's ways for an organizer to fully recoup the cost of being an organizer, or even more than recoup their cost of being an organizer, that's a win for everyone, you know? Another anonymous asked, will the Starbucks Match partnership extend to Canada? That's a good question. We're talking to Starbucks, coincidentally, in the UK and Europe. We had a meeting with them. We also had a meeting with Starbucks in Asia Pacific. And now I do remember. The intention for Starbucks is to expand from the US to Canada as well. I don't know when that's happening, but the plan is for Starbucks to extend. I don't believe the plan is for Match to extend to Canada as well, but the plan is for Starbucks to extend to Canada. So yes. Okay. I think we only have time for like one more question. We're already at 3:46, which means we're 1 minute past. But I'm happy to take one, last question if it comes up, and I'm able to answer because I know there's a lot of questions that have been asked. Some of them I'm not able to answer, but different other people are able to better answer it. So we're now. Here it is. We'll take the last question here from Susanna Mayer. Susanna Mayer. Can we monetize our Meetup site with advertisers? Okay, that is a really good question, Susanna. Wow. Susanna, if you don't mind if you're open to it, putting your email in chat that we could capture and someone from our team could follow up with you. I'd actually love to have someone talk to you a little bit more. It's a very interesting idea, and one as CEO I'm extremely open to. Currently, many Meetup organizers do monetize with sponsorships, and they have, they're running a kayaking group, and they have XYZ kayaking company sponsor their group. Or I was just speaking to on my podcast the head of Durham Bull City Runners group, and she has a bar that sponsors their running group, and it helps to pay for essentially the cost of their Meetup, and sometimes even more than the cost of their Meetup group. So sponsorships are great. We encourage everyone to try to find sponsors, food and beverage sponsors, other sponsors. But the idea of having an advertiser and having some of that go towards an organizer is a really interesting idea that I really want to explore, honestly, and talk more to you and others about. So please do share, Susanna, and thank you for asking that really thoughtful question. Okay, 3:48. I really do hope this was helpful. More than anything, I just wanted to thank you so much again for all of your time. We're a community. We're not a product. We're not a service. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for being with us through the highs and through the lows and through the challenges. And just let's hope that 2022 becomes a year but with many more highs than lows for you, each of you professionally and also personally as well. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.